Bit of I think what I would characterize as the changes in the external environment. These changes are probably consistent for the last 4 or 5 years, very much so. And I think that the notion of the limited resources, at least in our view, goes back to the 70s when we started the recycling facility. It was the basis for us building the business that we've built today, and I think that premise still holds true today, but I think the rest of the world has woken up to that in the last 8 to 10 years. Much more so from an overall perspective, as I said before, from a cultural shift. If you were to talk about these issues with major companies, whether it's a Nike or a Coca-Cola or even a Walmart, you would not get the kind of response that you're seeing and getting from those companies using innovation and technology to try to figure out a better way to provide their goods or services to consumers. You got volatile oil prices. It certainly doesn't look like that's going anywhere soon. Raw materials, huge competition from India, China, Brazil, globally for all natural resources. That trend continues. It gets stronger every year. If you go back to 2008, there was a complete collapse in the commodity markets, and within a year, commodity prices were back up where they were before the collapse. And I've been in the recycling business for 30 years, and I've never seen that happen before. We always saw collapses in commodity markets, but it would happen over a 12 or 18-month period of time. It would go down $20 a month. This time it went down completely, and interestingly enough, it came back up over a 12-month period of time. Some of that had to do with capital markets and the collapse of the capital markets and credit, which is what really caused the spontaneous drop. But the interesting aspect of it is we're right back to those prices again, and I don't think that that global demand, even in an economic downturn, is going to change all that much. Even if China goes from 6 or 8% GDP growth down to 4 or 6%, we're still going to see very, very significant demand for limited resources. I think the other aspect that sits over the top of that cultural shift over the last 5 years is a real different perspective about greenhouse gas emissions from an overall cultural perspective. And when I say that, I mean obviously from a consumer perspective, but also from a business perspective as well. So the opening comment about I'm at your disposal, I'm really more, we're really now more looking at the business from a resource optimization perspective, and I think for the reasons discussed before, I think we're also recognizing from a business model perspective, the world's going to reward very different behavior in the future than it has in the past. In the past, all value in our industry was created in the consumption model. It was created when you picked up the waste at the curb and you put it in the landfill. It's our view, and has been for for a lot of years, but more importantly, tied to where we think the culture is, that real value is going to be created in the resource optimization sustainability model as we move out into the future. It's, as I said before, after 30 years of being in the business, it's exciting, very exciting to go to work every day because of that transformation that's ongoing that we're very much a part of. On the next slide, just really talks about on page 10 the dead-end disposal to really resource transformation, and by that what we're really talking about in our view as we look at the world, it's zero sort recycling, it's our landfill gas to energy, it's our composting component, which we have the largest composting operations in New England with New England Organics. It's a Casella company. And then alternative fuels, as we were talking about a little bit earlier, there's certainly the opportunity to take that portion of the waste stream that is not utilized from a feedstock standpoint in terms of manufacturing, but use it for its energy value. There are emerging technologies that are beginning to flourish and move forward, and at some point in time we'll see, I think, success there in terms of those technologies. We also have a 50-50 joint venture with Louisiana Pacific. It's the largest cellulose insulation manufacturer in North America. It uses about 400,000 or 500,000 tons a year of old newspaper as its feedstock to produce that insulation. It's a very positive product in its overall footprint from a climate perspective. Much less of an impact producing that insulation than the electricity demands of the fiberglass insulation. The product is as good from an R value. It's utilized a lot in attics because it's easy to blow it in, and it's also being utilized now from a retrofit standpoint in terms of trying to weatherize some of the older homes that we have in the country. It's easy to drill holes in the walls on the inside of the home and blow the insulation in as opposed to taking the walls out and replacing them. It's a great product, and we're excited. Although obviously that business over the last 3 or 4 years with the housing collapse is a very, very difficult path over the last few years because of the housing downturn.
But why wouldn't it have be stimulated by the rising cost of heating fuel to retrofit existing?
It is. It's really interesting when you look at weatherization. You would think that in this country there would be a lot more going on and a lot more money being spent. That's just not the case. There is some money being spent, but there's not a lot of activity. It's taken a long time to get those programs up and operational, and we're just beginning to see some of that spend now, Tony, but it's been 2 years where there's been a lot of talk about those programs.
Right.
The programs, I think to a degree were funded, but the infrastructure wasn't in place, so there's really not been a lot of activity to date. But we're beginning to feel that now in that business model. The pathway to zero waste or resource transformation on page 12, I'll just go through it briefly. About 40% of the waste stream can be recycled in a zero sort recycling operation, single stream zero sort. Another 20 to 25% is the organic fraction, which, as I said, we've got some interesting technologies that we're working with now on the farm from an organic standpoint. And then it's our view over time that we'll see a change in how companies are packaging their products. So we'll see more recyclable packaging. So we think that it's likely over time that we'll see design for sustainability change and move more recyclables up front to the stream, so that the 40% up front over time, in our view anyway, is likely to change to be something higher, because I think that if you're a manufacturer and you're doing multi-layer packaging that can't be recycled, there's real incentive now in the marketplace for you to change that. And it could be that you could have a requirement if you're trying to sell to a Walmart store. So it's our view over time that we're going to see more of that material moving to the front end.
I'm curious about the organics, and can you tell us a little bit more about what that consists of? Is it mostly at a commercial scale food operations or residential scale? What is that?
It really is very much municipal sewage treatment facility sludges.
Okay.
It's right now the place where we're starting, where we've had the most demand, is from colleges and universities, particularly in the Massachusetts market, where very large institutions. We also have that same program is ongoing, I think, with the Intervale, or was ongoing at the Intervale as well in Burlington. I think there's some activity, obviously, with UVM. But the A-Green projects, specifically the ones that we are developing now in Massachusetts, are related to those colleges and universities. That's where the demand pull is coming from, is those institutions want to handle their organic fraction of their waste stream, put it back into a usable resource that could be applied to a farm.
So breaking down the sludges versus the food waste, what's sludges half of the organic waste, or?
It's probably higher than that, because the organic food waste portion is something that's only gotten off the ground in the last 2 years. The organics business has been in place for 25 years. Mm-hmm. And while we're pelletizing and creating a fertilizer from biosolids from the municipal wastewater treatment plants. The institutional food waste, that program is only about 2 years old, Rebecca, so it's probably higher. I would say a higher percentage, maybe 70 to 75% is the municipal sewage treatment facilities. And we're also doing short fiber from pulp and paper facilities. We're also doing ashes from power plants as well, other materials that lend itself to organics.
Yeah.
I have 2 questions. I'm talking about the A-Green. I know that Vermont Tech is trying to put in a digester.